Get ready for 50 challenging trivia questions covering history, science, famous people, and world knowledge. Write down your answers as you go, trust your memory, and see how high you can score. Let's begin. In what year was the Magna Carta famously signed, placing limits on the power of the English king? (1215). What was the primary purpose of the ancient Roman Colosseum, one of the most recognizable landmarks of the Roman Empire? Gladiatorial games. Which legendary French heroine was famously known as the Maid of Orleans during the Hundred Years' War? Joan of Arc. What devastating disease became known as the Black Death and killed millions across Europe during the 14th century? Bubonic plague. Which famous Greek philosopher became the tutor of Alexander the Great and wrote extensively about science, politics, and philosophy? Aristotle. Which queen ruled England and Ireland from 1558 until 1603 during a period often called the Elizabethan Age? Elizabeth I. Who became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean in 1932, becoming one of aviation's most famous pioneers? Amelia Earhart. In which American state did the infamous Salem witch trials take place in the late 17th century? Massachusetts. Which treaty officially ended World War I between Germany and the Allied powers in 1919? Treaty of Versailles. What was the name of the famous ship that carried the Pilgrims from England to North America in 1620? Mayflower. What was the code name for the massive Allied military operation that began with the Normandy landings during World War II? Operation Overlord. Who became the first woman to receive a Nobel Prize, earning recognition for her groundbreaking scientific work? Marie Curie. In what year did the French Revolution officially begin, leading to dramatic political and social changes in France? 1789? What period of European history followed the fall of the Western Roman Empire and came before the Renaissance? Middle Ages. Who is traditionally regarded as the first Roman emperor and the founder of the Roman Empire? Augustus. Which Italian architect and engineer is famous for designing the magnificent dome of Florence Cathedral? Filippo Brunelleschi. What name is given to the long series of conflicts fought between England and France from 1337 to 1453? Hundred Years' War. Which American inventor is most famously associated with developing a practical incandescent light bulb and building a major electrical company? Thomas Edison. In what year did the Spanish Armada attempt its famous invasion of England? 1588. Which famous Russian author wrote the enormous and influential novel War and Peace? Leo Tolstoy. Which pair of flowers is especially associated with Japan and appears prominently in its culture and traditions? Cherry blossom and chrysanthemum. What is the name of Neptune's largest moon, discovered in 1846 and known for its unusual retrograde orbit? Triton. Who became the first African American to win an Academy Award, receiving the Oscar for her performance in Gone with the Wind? Hattie McDaniel. Which mountain is generally recognized as the highest peak in Europe, standing in the Caucasus Mountains of Russia? Mount Elbrus. Which long-running Broadway musical based on Gaston Leroux's novel became famous for its haunting music and mysterious masked character? The Phantom of the Opera. What are the four major components that make up human blood and work together to keep the body functioning? Plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Which blood type is considered the most common among people worldwide? O positive. Which Roman emperor famously converted to Christianity and played a major role in changing the religious history of the Roman Empire? Constantine. Many people mistakenly believe Sydney is Australia's capital. Which city is actually the nation's capital? Canberra. Which enormous coral reef system stretches along the coast of Queensland and is considered the largest coral reef system in the world? Great Barrier Reef. Approximately how long is the pregnancy or gestation period of an African elephant, the longest of any land mammal? About 645 days. Which legendary composer created the famous Moonlight Sonata, one of the most recognizable pieces of classical piano music? Ludwig van Beethoven. What is the traditional name for a baby kangaroo, which spends its early development safely inside its mother's pouch? Joey? In what year was the first Apple iPhone officially released, changing the way many people thought about mobile phones? Two 2007. Which company created the famous Nokia 9000 communicator, an early device that combined mobile phone and computing features? Nokia. Which Japanese company is famous for producing beverages and owns well-known brands such as Jim Beam and Maker's Mark? Suntory. In what year was Vaseline petroleum jelly first introduced, eventually becoming a familiar household product around the world? 1870. Which famous American director directed the 1993 blockbuster Jurassic Park, bringing realistic-looking dinosaurs to movie screens? Steven Spielberg. What causes the colorful auroras seen in the night skies near Earth's polar regions? Solar particles interacting with Earth's magnetic field. Which Scottish scientist is credited with discovering penicillin after noticing that mold had killed bacteria in a laboratory dish? Alexander Fleming. Which ancient civilization built the spectacular mountain city of Machu Picchu in what is now Peru? Inca Empire. Which Renaissance genius is often called the ultimate Renaissance man because of his achievements in art, science, engineering, and invention? Leonardo da Vinci. Who became Israel's first female prime minister and one of the world's most prominent female political leaders of the 20th century? Golda Meir. Which Polish astronomer proposed the revolutionary idea that Earth and the other planets orbit around the Sun? Nicolaus Copernicus. In what year did brothers Orville and Wilbur Wright successfully achieve their historic powered airplane flight at Kitty Hawk? 1903. Which powerful 19th century German statesman played a crucial role in unifying Germany into a single empire? Otto von Bismarck. Which South African leader spent 27 years in prison before becoming president and playing a historic role in ending apartheid? Nelson Mandela. Which French king is famous for one of the longest reigns of any monarch, ruling France for more than 70 years? Louis XIV. Which French military leader and emperor suffered a decisive defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815? Napoleon Bonaparte. Which French scientist is credited with establishing the principle that matter is conserved during chemical reactions, famously stating that matter is neither created nor destroyed? Antoine Lavoisier. How did you do? Add up your score and see how many you got right. If you enjoyed the quiz, like the video, subscribe for more, and share your score in the comments. Until next time, keep your mind sharp and your curiosity alive.